Take a move in the ring. You can hit me with the words you fling.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is the South China Morning Post, SCMP MMA, and this is the post-fight podcast. We're going to break down everything, all the crazy stuff that happened, UFC 254. John, so much to unpack. Where do we begin? I guess we've got to start with Khabib Nurmagomedov beating Justin Gaethje, then announcing his retirement. We all thought he was going to do one more fight, 30-0. He's 29-0, but he said, I can't fight without my father. I promised my mother I would make this my last fight. Were you shocked? Did you see this coming at all?
Oh, I wasn't shocked. I thought that, this fight or the next fight could have been his last fight. His father was just too important in his life and too important. It's just so much a symbol of like what he has accomplished, his father, and not having him be there and enjoy the fruits of his labor, and basically I think it kind of like digs deep into his heart and his family too. And whenever your mother tells you to don't fight anymore, I think that you got to listen to her, especially how close he is with his family. And it's just a perfect ending to the fight, to the career, to everything. It's I don't think we've ever seen this happen in MMA. In all of sports, it rarely happens like this, where an athlete just stops at the top of his game. Not even Michael Jordan did this. If Michael Jordan would have retired after his 6th championship, then it could be, you could compare this to that. But man, this is a whole nother level of Khabib just taking out the guy that everybody thought, there was this narrative coming into this fight where like Justin Gaethje, he has the perfect set of skills to possibly take out Khabib. And man, Khabib performed better than he ever did. He dominated this fight completely, man. Look at it, man. He's just so emotional, man. And those emotions and the gloves on the mat. This is the last time we're going to see him, I think, in the octagon, at least. Who knows if we see him like do maybe possibly dip and dab into other martial arts, like maybe boxing or something like that, because he's talked about that in the past. But I doubt we even see him in that, man. I think he's just going to start coaching and helping all his fellow athletes out of Dagestan. And man, I think he's going to do a great job of creating and producing and cultivating killers, just absolute killers out of that country. And we're going to see a lot of champions come out, and we're going to see Khabib. We're not going to ever see him not be a part of this sport. I think we're going to see him at events, cornering his fighters and creating a big team out there. I like how he's going out, man. I think that this is the perfect way of retiring and on top, man. It's look at him. He's just he's so emotional, and he put his country on the map.
Exhausted, isn't he? Everything he carried into that fight, you saw it all pour out of him.
Yeah,
just going back to you saying he completely dominated Gaethje. I agree. I was so surprised to see actually Gaethje had the first round on 2 of the 3 scorecards. I didn't really see what the hell was going on there, but for me it was. Well, Gaethje said, I did damage, I hurt him. The leg kicks were working a little bit. But I think as soon as Khabib realized, all right, I'm going to take him down now. He was doing it at will, I thought. He wanted to stand up at the beginning to throw Justin off, I felt, in the first round. But he could have got that takedown anytime he wanted, I think.
He could have. And you know that, because if you've seen Khabib's other fights, he's done the same thing. He'll stand there and trade with the guys just to test them out, and to see what he can do against them on the feet. And then eventually he'll drag them to the ground. Once he dragged him to the ground, he got into some advantageous positions real fast. That's what surprised me the most. I thought Gaethje would have been more elusive, and be able to.
Yeah, he almost got the armbar in the first round. If that first round had gone a little longer, it could have been over there.
Exactly. And then he went back to the same exact position and moved into mount. Like that transition where Gaethje hit the leg, hit the calf kick, and then Khabib timed it, got hit, went for the takedown, scrambled right to the back, and then like it was over after that. That was the final sequence of him entering the position he needs to be in to get that triangle choke. Man, Khabib is just a once in a lifetime athlete, a once in a lifetime fighter, and it's incredible to have been able to watch him, during our lifetime, man. It's not like a fighter that you heard about, and you could go back and watch their film. It's a fighter we witnessed in real time, complete and accomplish just incredible feats in the UFC. Yeah, it's just I don't feel sad, like a lot of people feel like, oh, he still has some things to accomplish. I don't feel sad. I feel like he retires as a legend, and that's it. He's a legend.
Yeah. I think George St. Pierre put it best. He said, as a competitor, I'm angry, I'm sad that I don't get to fight him, but as a human being, I'm happy for him because he has got to deal with that family tragedy they went through. And like GSP, he's leaving on top as well. Look at these stats on here. Like, I guess that leads into what, the whole typical of the MMA world. We had this really poignant moment. I think everyone was united in happiness for Khabib. It was a very sad moment, but poignant nonetheless. But then less than 10 hours after it all happened, we're all talking who's the GOAT, who's the number one pound for pound, fueled by a series of tweets from our man John Jones, who is not happy that Khabib was asking for the UFC to give him the pound for pound number one ranking on Tuesday when they update those rankings. Yeah, where do you land on that one? Has Khabib done enough for you to be number one in that pound for pound debate? We'll think about GOAT later, but should he overtake John Jones given that win? Has he done enough?
I don't really know, to be honest with you. You could put him there for a quick minute and then, but the thing is, he's retired. So what's the point of even putting him on the list next week?
I think he just wants to see his name there because he's accomplished everying. And he's always been...
He's always been up there. Out of respect, they should do that. They should put him at number one. But John Jones tweeting out that, I'll give you that position. It's like, come on, man. Like, stop going on Twitter. Let the guy have his moment. Let the guy sit on top. And we know your credentials. We know you're a 15-time world champion. Yes, the numbers don't lie, but Khabib has dominated every single fight, and has never lost a fight. And just like, what was the statistic? He won 58 out of 60 rounds of his career. It's just, that's mind-boggling. And he's never been always in the zone.
As far as I know, he's never looked like he's been in a fight after a fight.
Exactly. He's never looked like he lost the fight. He never looked like he was beat up. There's points where John Jones looked wrecked after fights. GSP also looked wrecked after the fights. These are different weight classes, and GSP also is in a different weight class. Anderson Silva, different weight class. But when you're talking about pound for pound right now, just let the guy have his moment. He's earned it. You don't need to be out there trying to prove that you're the pound for pound. We know you are. You're one of them. Just let Khabib have his spot, and then when they reshuffle it, John Jones will be on top. What's the big deal? I don't understand his him going on the defensive about this whole situation.
Well, he's saying, I worked really hard for this. You're just going to take it away from me without that being, I don't deserve you to just grab my number one spot. I busted my ass to get this. But I don't know where I fall on it. I don't think it matters anyway too much.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's on the pound for pound list. That does not matter. At the end of the day, no one's going to be looking at that list to prove anything to anybody.
Yeah. He has points. He has some points, for some of the stats he's thrown out. He's got way more title defenses than Khabib. Khabib only made 3 defenses. Mm-hmm. I would have liked Khabib to hang around, go and beat Tony Ferguson, go and beat Conor again, go and beat Michael Chandler, really put an exclamation point on it. So there's no doubt. I think if he'd cleared out the rest of that top 5, no one could have doubted it. But there's a little lingering question for me. And I have no doubt he would have gone and beaten them all. This is why. But I also think you got to factor in that he looked like he really struggled to make weight. I'm not even sure if he did make weight for that fight because you saw all the controversy about that.
Yeah, that was weird. You got to
Yeah.
just look at, like when John Jones entered the UFC, he was much younger, and he was pushed into the title fight much faster than Khabib. Khabib took a while, right, to get that title shot. And if, let's say that they pushed Khabib into the title shot quicker, he would have had way more, title defenses. It's just timing.
They wanted Conor, didn't they? They wanted Conor to have that belt. And then Conor held that division up for 2 years. Whatever you think of that.
Yeah, but we could talk about this, but when you look at numbers, yes, I'll admit it. John Jones has the numbers to be pound for pound number one because he's still fighting, and he's still winning, and he's still, just has these wins over legends, right? He does have wins over legends, but overall, when you put every facet into fighting and just every facet into being an athlete, I don't think there's many people that surpass Khabib or like a GSP. Those guys retired at the top. They were great role models for their community, for pretty much the whole MMA community, the sports world. They're, you got to look at Khabib too. He's a much bigger star than John Jones is. And he did it with only 3 title defenses. John Jones has 15 or 14 or 13 or whatever, and he's still not as big a star as Khabib. But anyways, with this GOAT conversation, man, like I cannot tell you like who's the number one GOAT. There's GOATs for every division, and then there's the eras too. Like this era is much better overall, as the fighters are much better overall than an era 10 years ago. So it's just hard to say who's the GOAT, but for pound, John Jones is number one. There's no doubt about that, right? But let Khabib have his moment, and then John Jones could have his spot back. You know what I mean? It's just Khabib is right up there. He's been right up there for years now. I don't understand the attacks, man, of Khabib, man. Khabib has said nothing about John Jones, right? Nothing. I think he just only shows respect to John Jones. And John Jones, he just can't stay quiet, man. I don't know what it is about him.
Okay, well, there were a lot of ramifications from Khabib retiring, and I think we all knew Conor was going to poke his head out of, whatever he's been hiding. And he said, "Congratulations, Khabib. Well done." And he gave his condolences again for, Khabib's father dying, all the tragedy there. But he said, "I'm going to carry on." And then I'm trying to find this tweet. He had a little go at Justin Gaethje, didn't he? Gaethje said, "If Conor wants to come out and have a go for this title, let's do it." Conor just ripped apart Gaethje's performance there. He called it truly embarrassing. What do you make of that?
Of course he did. Of course Conor did. Him and Gaethje have been going back and forth for a little while. And of course, if the guy that you are rivals with, or one of the guys you're rivaling,
here it is. Trent Ryan Smith got the screen grab because Conor tweeted and deleted it, didn't he? As is his wont to do. Dustin KO'd you, as well as your wrestling grappling and overall fear of the central positions being truly embarrassing tonight, Justin.
Well, Conor is just setting up his next fight, right? Isn't that what he's doing right here? He's, you even said it. The McGregor Poirier fight, that might not even happen. I think the UFC kind of delayed it to see what happened in this fight, with Justin and Khabib, to decide what they were going to go do with Conor. And I think Conor was doing the same. I think he was sitting back waiting to see what happens. And some people probably anticipated that Khabib would retire. And if Khabib retires, that opens up the door for Conor to get an immediate title shot now. He doesn't have to fight Poirier. Now he could just fight anybody for the title. And I think that's the next step. I don't think they're going to have this so-called 4-man tournament, that people want. I don't think that's a possibility. I think they're going to push Conor versus somebody for that lightweight title. And I mean, why not do it with Michael Chandler? Because he's a fresh guy. Why not do it with Michael Chandler? I don't understand. I can see that being a possibility. He already beat Poirier. He already beat what is it? Oh, he hasn't beat Ferguson. So, but Ferguson's coming off a loss. Poirier's he's also coming. Oh, Poirier's coming off a win, but he already lost to Connor. Gaethje's coming off a loss. Who's the only one left? Chandler, right? And Chandler made championship weight. So why not put Chandler and Connor together for the championship belt and have the other guys figure it out eventually. You see, Hooker's still up there, Charles Oliveira. There's a lot of guys that need like a 1 or 2 more fights to actually challenge for the title. But you got Chandler there, and he says he's only there for a short period of time. So why not propel him up for that title shot? Because he took one for the team, right? He took one for the team. He went to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah,
was the
Tony
backup.
Ferguson took one for the team. He took 3 for the team, I think. Maybe 4. How many times has he been backup? He was backup for the Conor Khabib fight, right? And he put it all on the line to fight Gaethje when he could have waited and had the Khabib fight and a bigger payday. And now he's at the back of the queue again. There's something wrong. We need to have some honor, I think, in all this. I don't think you can put Michael Chandler first up in a title fight. He needs at least 1 win. Give him a top 5. I think give him Tony Ferguson or Dan Hooker. Look, either way, I think it's sad Khabib's gone, but the UFC is probably pretty happy with the lightweight picture now because it's crazy, isn't it? It's so competitive. How many matchups can you make out of that top 6 alone? I mean, Chandler's not even ranked, but you throw him in there, and as you said, Charles Oliveira is on the outside coming in. And then, Conor against Poirier, Conor against Gaethje, Poirier again. Poirier, Ferguson, Connor, any combination of all these sounds so good. Connor, Chandler, Ferguson. I want to see all these fights. I think the next 2-3 years in this division is going to be so fun.
It is. It's like, who recently left the division or, the championship, switched hands and just opened. Oh, the light heavyweight division. Just recently, John Jones left that division, and then now you got all these incredible matchups that we have to build up that light heavyweight division, and it's just now become a fresh look, and it's exciting. And I think like the lightweight division also, you make a good point about Chandler. He's not even ranked. He should probably get another win. So if he's going to fight somebody, I like to see him fight Ferguson. It kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Ferguson gets to prove like if he's still championship caliber, and Chandler, if he wins, he proves that he's championship caliber, right? And he gets that one win. He earns that title shot. And on the other side, on the flip side, you have Connor fight either Poirier or Gaethje, and then whoever wins that fight, they match up against the winner against Ferguson and Chandler. And I think that by the middle of next year, we'll have a new lightweight champion. But that's what we love. That's what we love, and that's what we love to see. But I don't think the UFC is going to do that. I think the UFC is going to go with Conor versus somebody for the lightweight title at the beginning of next year. We might hate it, and we're going to talk. We're going to talk so much trash about it.
Yeah.
But the UFC doesn't care. They're going to be like, hey, Conor's our cash cow. And
they are going to be so happy, I think.
Yeah,
that Conor
they are
is now probably going to have the belt again now. I mean, when Conor's on top, everyone makes more money. It's just the fact, isn't it?
And they're going to do it in front of an audience. I feel like by the beginning of next year, they're going to find a place where they can actually have a live gate, and they're going to fly Conor there. And it doesn't matter who's on the undercard. It could be all local guys. It does not matter. As long as Conor's there fighting for the title and it's pay-per-view with a live gate, whatever country's able to do that, they're going to be really, really lucky to have the UFC there. Hopefully somewhere in Asia.
Well, look, I think whatever you think about Conor, he's played a blinder here because he's been calling for a rematch for 2 years, and he probably knew he's never going to get it before Khabib actually retired, because Khabib always said, I'm going to do 30-0, and it looked like it's me Ferguson, then the dream fight against GSP, and that has been sped up now. So by calling for the fight, Conor didn't look like he was shying away from that rematch. He always looked like he wanted it and thought he could win, and he was piping up on social media the other day saying how he beat Khabib in every round, which was complete nonsense. Although he is one of 2 men, I think, to take a round off Khabib, isn't he? Which is pretty impressive. So, Yeah, he's done it really well, and now he's in such a good position. And I think the UFC is going to be secretly quite relieved, quite happy, because it's great what Khabib did. But when you have one guy who's so far above everyone else, it does kind of just slow things down a little bit, doesn't it? And yeah, John Jones, as you said, he's gone up to heavyweight now, and that's completely opened up the light heavyweight picture. I think we're going to find it soon with Adesanya is going to go up to light heavyweight, because he doesn't want that Whittaker rematch, does he? Rob Whittaker beat Jared Cannonier, very impressive. I don't think Adesanya's bothered. He sees anything different going to happen in that. You've got Usman, who's pretty dominant in welterweight, I think, and he, if he gets through Burns and then maybe there's a Covington rematch, we could have similar situations there of one man just completely dominating those divisions.
It possibly could. I feel like if there is a second fight between Adesanya and Whittaker, that second fight goes a little bit different. Whittaker has shown in his last 2 fights that he is another level now. That loss has changed him, and and he's refocused, I believe, at improving himself and just becoming much better at executing game plans and winning the fight instead of taking too many chances. And I think like in the Adesanya fight, he got too emotional and took too many chances. And Adesanya is the best in the world in striking, and he could pick you apart, and he found those holes. But Whittaker, he seems like he doesn't even really want to fight Adesanya. He's not even really focused on the next fight. But didn't Dana White say that Whittaker is next in line for the title? And it works out perfectly for the UFC to have a live show, because in New Zealand they have big crowds already. They have like 30,000, 20,000 seaters filled at sporting events. Why not fly over Whittaker for his rematch and have it in New Zealand? And Whittaker's originally from New Zealand, I believe. And then you got a bunch of guys from Australia that could fight on the card, and New Zealand, New Zealand-based fighters sign a couple more, and now you got a pay-per-view, you got an undercard, and you got a bunch of fighters in Asia that are already out here training. Put them on the card too, and and we got a big, massive pay-per-view sometime early next year on this side of the world. I think it's a good time for the UFC with what's going on in certain countries opening back up, and how the fighters are situated in these countries, and they're from these countries. It's really helpful for the UFC. I think that they're gonna have a live show next year. If it's not New Zealand, it's gonna be somewhere else. I fully believe that that's gonna happen. Even in the US, American football is having crowds in the stadiums now, and is slowly growing to more and more people. So, Conor fights for the lightweight title. It's going to be for a live audience somewhere. Adesanya, Whittaker. You mentioned, Adesanya moving up to light heavyweight. I don't think that's going to happen for a while. I think the middleweight division, he has a couple more title defenses, and then he'll move up. But he's going to always be setting up his next move through the media. And I see that in Adesanya. He's always setting up his next move. He's always setting up his next paydays, but his short-term goals would be to defend that title a couple more times. Usman, we could see him, defend a couple more times, but never overlook Gilbert Burns, man. I think Gilbert Burns is possibly that kryptonite, and we might see a major upset when they actually face off against each other, because they've trained for years and years. And one thing about Burns, man, he can adjust on the fly real fast, and he showed that in the last couple of fights that he is another level, man. He always improves, and he's always training, and I've spoken to him many times, and he's one of the great minds too of MMA, and I think that a lot of people are overlooking Burns in that fight.
I think it'll be close. Yeah, I think it'll be very close, and either way, I think it's going to be 5 rounds. It's going to go to the decision. But I think Usman doesn't get the respect he deserves. I just think he's slightly a cut above everyone else in that division. But people don't like him. He doesn't say cool shit. He doesn't.
Yeah,
that's go on Twitter, talks. He tries to. I just think he's not got the personality yet.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple
it's because of Covington. Covington's there in the division, and then you got Masvidal there, and these guys are just massive personalities, and to be at that same level, it takes something different, and being just Usman, being himself, it's not enough. But I respect him. I respect that he's himself, and he just shows through his skills that he is the best in the world. And I think that he doesn't really care about, talking trash unless you're talking trash to him, and then he'll come back to you. But then what he's saying is not like, hyperbole. He's not like exaggerating anything. That's what Covington and Masvidal, they're like professionals at, is exaggeration, and the fans eat it up. Usman's not about that. So yeah, he is. He does. He is. A lot of people overlook Usman, but I don't think it's for his skill set. I think it's just for his like marketability. That's about it. He's a great talent, man. He's pretty much has the same style as Khabib, right? Like just almost very similar to that style. So yeah, I see him.
Someone asked me this. One of my friends from the Vietnamese media who we cover one championship with, he just asked for my thoughts on who the next dominant fighter in UFC is going to be now Khabib's gone. I said they already have one. It's Kamaru Usman. He's already there. He's at that level, I think.
Yeah, and the biggest threat to me is his teammate. And if he could get past his teammate, which is Gilbert Burns, it's hard to say like who is at his level in that division. And then eventually what's going to happen with that is that
he's beat Covington. I don't think that fight goes any different. I mean, if Usman wanted to, he would just take that rematch to the ground and embarrass Covington there, I think.
Yeah, and he beat Masvidal. And I think if he fought Masvidal again, he would dominate him again. I don't see, anybody really that's coming up that has that style to combat against Usman. And Usman's striking is just only getting better and better and better as we speak. So it's just like, we haven't even seen the best of Usman, and that's scary, because that's scary not to us. It's scary to the prospects and the up and comers that are coming up in that division. Like, can you match that intensity? Can you match that skill set? And most likely it's not going to happen. But one thing good about MMA is that it always happens. Always someone comes along and is able to beat the guy. But it just didn't happen to Khabib, and that's what makes Khabib just a special talent.
Well, the outlier in that welterweight division is Hamzat, isn't it? And they've now confirmed he's going to be fighting Leon Edwards on December 19th, I think. So I don't know about this fight. I feel so bad for Edwards because I don't know. You think he can stop Hamzat? I know you're not on the Hamzat hype train, but
if he goes in there and smashes Edwards, I'm on the Hamzat hype train. I'm in the conductor.
Why fast track this? We could have had Hamzat just going and beating a bunch of top 15, top 10 guys over the next year and a half. They're just really rushing him up now. And I think he's going to win.
Do you think Dana White and the UFC knew that Khabib was going to retire after this fight a long time ago? And that's why they're pushing Hamzat so quickly?
Yeah, I think. Do
you think that's a possibility?
I think after Abdulmanap died, Khabib's dad, I think they realized they might get 2 fights most out of Khabib. I'm not sure they thought it was going to happen this time, but that's why they pulled the trigger on Hamzat. Yeah, and it's great. I like that the UFC is thinking one step ahead in that regard. He is the next. Dana said it right. He went from 30,000 followers first fight. Now he's got 1 million.
Yeah, and if you look at it, I don't think Dana is like the biggest fan of Usman either.
No,
I think that he would rather have
Usman out of there. Yeah,
yeah, and why not? And that's why he doesn't have Khamzat fighting in 185, is because he knows that he has a star at 185. There's no reason for Hamzat to fight there. It's that welterweight division where they need that next guy to come in and challenge Usman. And if he does beat Usman, then you got a huge star out of Europe. And Hamzat can speak, he can talk trash, he can do it all. And why not fast track him? I'm not on the hype train, but man, they are doing Edwards really dirty. The sequence of events in the last week of what happened to Edwards, it's like, man, you just feel sorry for him, man. Like, just terrible.
Took him out of the rankings, didn't they? Saying you're inactive.
And then they
And
signed
then-
the fight, and then now he's
Yeah.
back at number 3 on the rankings, which
Yeah.
shows you that don't ever talk about the rankings. don't ever talk about the rankings, because the rankings do not mean anything. And if you notice that one of the panelists for the UFC rankings, he kind of talked about how they send out these notes and clips to the panelists and on how to do the rankings and just some suggestions. And man, I don't really remember off the top of my head exactly what those suggestions were, but man, it just showed you and just, explained to you how the rankings are a crock of shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
Well, I
Edwards
just got the email. I'm on the One rankings panel, and I don't know why they thought I'd be good for that, but I've just filed my latest ones for after taking in the events of No Surrender 1 and 2, and yeah, there were no notes or anything. All it was it told you, here's the top 5. Here are the results in those divisions of each of those top 5s. And there was no one saying like, "Oh, what did you think about putting this person higher than that one?" or anything. I was very impressed with the transparency of it. We'll see how it plays out. I think I only made one change because I think the number 3 rank in the bantamweight kickboxing division lost, so I shuffled that one around a little bit. But I expect to see more changes after this show on Friday. But anyway, I'm rambling. What I'm saying is the process was very clean and easy, and I don't know what the UFC does with their process and if they're telling people. I was very, very confused to see Conor jump up a place to 4 above Dan Hooker in the lightweight rankings when Conor's not fought in lightweight for how long? years.
It just
years,
shows
right.
you, like, even
He's
like
not won in lightweight for 4 years.
I was talking with Josh Emmett, right? And he's coming off that big win against Shane Burgos. And in that fight, he hurt his knee. So he's going to be out for like a year, rehabbing and getting his knee back to 100%. And he was talking like that too. He was explaining how, like, he's in the rankings, but he said that these guys ahead of me, they're going to fight, and then someone's going to lose, and possibly 3 of them are going to lose. And it was just, even without him fighting, he thinks in his mind that it will shuffle him up the rankings without him even fighting. I'm just like, that makes complete sense. How things are happening in the rankings. You could be ranked number 2 without even actually fighting for a whole year because people lost. And that's how, and that explains exactly what, the UFC rankings are. It's just a crock of shit. It is. It's bad, man. And, it's cool, like, when they make it into the rankings, it's like, yeah, man, you made it there. It's cool. But then after a while, it's just like, okay, now you just got to fight the guys that are going to push you into the title. The rankings don't mean anything anymore.
Yeah. Where's lightweight? I'm trying to find it here on their website. I was checking it. Conor's definitely not ranked in the featherweight still, right? I wouldn't be surprised if they just had him in there for a laugh.
No, he's in the lightweight and I think welterweight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so rankings is just...
Yeah, we were talking about that division. He's above. He's gone up 1. Hooker's gone down 1. I don't understand that.
When's the last time he won a fight at lightweight? That's
Eddie
the bigger
Alvarez,
question,
right?
Yeah, and that was what,
when he won the title, 2016.
Yeah,
November. Coming up on 4 years.
exactly. It's 4 years ago he's won a fight at lightweight and he's ranked number 4.
How do you jump up a
no
position?
sense.
He lost the title fight to the champion in that, and then he beat a guy at welterweight who was ranked below him. I don't know how he's gone up 1 and how Dan's gone down 1. If I'm Dan Hooker, I'd be livid, absolutely livid. What's Dan done to deserve that? But yeah, I just think it's someone telling them, right, you have to, can we get enough votes here so that Conor can go up 1, so that, I think they're clearly making moves there, aren't they, to shuffle things around so they can justify putting Conor in a position to challenge for this or that above Dan.
Well, there's no transparency of like what the numbers are on these rankings, like what kind of voting that's going on. So the UFC could get votes from the panelists, and then they just make their rankings on their own, right? They just did it with Edwards. They took him out of the rankings, and then they just shoved him back in at number 3.
Yeah.
So, what's there to say that they don't do that to anybody else in these rankings? Look at these rankings; they don't really mean anything.
So I mean, where was Edwards before? He was 4th, was he, or was he 5th?
You know what's funny is that if you look at the lightweight rankings, 1 through 5,
me and Maya gone
all
up
coming off losses.
Yeah.
1 through 5 is all coming off losses.
Oh.
And 1 through 4 has all lost, or actually not 1 through 4. 1, 2, and 4 have all lost to Khabib, and that's his last 3 fights.
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, they can just make up whatever they want.
Yeah, you can't. You just make it up. You just do what you want to do. Like I decided a long time ago is to like,
Not care.
to like build the spirits of fighters. Yeah, it's cool to like look at the rankings, but then at the same time, when you're arguing with people about like who should fight who, the ranking should never be mentioned.
But it clearly.
But we always do.
But you see with this Edwards stuff, and the fighters clearly think it's important. Because as soon as they told Leon, you're out of the rankings, suddenly he's all right, I'll fight. And it affects paydays, I think. It affects position on card. It affects whether you get a main event on the fight night, things like that. It affects money. The rankings are important. I know we like to say they don't matter, but they really do to fighters, I think. That's my opinion.
With that Reebok deal, a lot of fighters have lost massive opportunities with sponsorships, and the MMA sponsorship game has completely changed because of it. And I've talked to many coaches and many fighters about this, and they're telling me like, man, it's almost like the UFC is not the best spot for a lot of these fighters to fight at. And if you're getting screwed like that by the UFC, like Edwards has, I don't see why he just doesn't try to terminate his contract and go over to another promotion where they're going to pay him probably much more, and he still gets to fight some of the best guys in the world. And if you could build your championship pedigree over there, why not do that? Does the UFC title mean that much to you? Because having the title, it's nice to have it, but when you're old and gray, does it really matter, or does the monetary rewards matter more when you could retire and not worry about money? You know what I mean? Like, is that more important for you? And I think a lot of fighters are starting to realize that the money is more important than actually having a belt. And a lot of guys are going to Bellator, getting way more money than they would in the UFC, going to one championship, and you're still fighting some of the best guys in the world, and you're one of the best guys in the world. And I don't see why you're sacrificing so much just to fight in the UFC. I don't see why fighters, I don't understand it sometimes. Certain fighters, yes, I understand. Yeah, it's prestige, but prestige is not going to carry you when you're 50 years old. Prestige doesn't mean anything when you're 50 years old and you're broke. And you don't have, and the guy that fought at Bellator, who was getting massive sponsorship money and getting good pay money and show money and win money, is living in a 10-bedroom mansion, and you're stuck in an apartment in South Wales or wherever, Liverpool or whatever.
I guess it's the Chandler. Yeah, you're a great example, Michael Chandler, but.
Yeah, I think he already has the money. Like, I think Chandler already has the money.
But
and
does he have the legacy? The people he wants to know. He wants people to know who Michael Chandler is after he retires. He wants to leave his name on this sport, which I think means at the moment you've got to go to the UFC. You got to win a title there if you want to be remembered as one of the best. Doesn't matter what you do in Bellator. I can see why he's done it. I think he's done it the smart way. It's go and build your name up there, go and make your money there, then go. I really admire and respect what he's done. I think a lot of fighters should go that route. If they're not getting the money in UFC, go to Bellator. Yeah, Corey Anderson, I applaud him going there.
Yeah, it all depends on each fighter. There's a different situation going on. Like you said with Chandler, he's done it almost the perfect way where he didn't have to go to the UFC getting paid 10 and 10 or 15 and 15 and start like that. He's starting off with like 6-figure contract because he went to Bellator and built his name, won titles there, had memorable fights, beat some of the biggest names in that division, and built these big contract numbers through Bellator.
He was getting the A side in negotiations for Ferguson. He was getting more money.
Exactly.
Which is crazy.
So
Ferguson was on a 12-fight win streak before.
But the thing, it shows you like how he built himself up, you know, outside the UFC to the point where the UFC was coveting him, you know, to be one of the guys to come in and challenge for the title right away. Yeah. And Michael Chandler, if you watch his interviews, he tells you like right now it's all for legacy. If he gets that UFC belt, then his legacy financially, he doesn't even worry about it, right? Of course he wants to get paid, but he's not even worried about that. He's worried about getting that UFC title and just making everything complete for himself. And maybe he'll go to one championship and end up trying to beat Eddie Alvarez for the one championship title. And if you look at it before him, who else came along? Eddie Alvarez, same thing. He built himself through Bellator, won the title there, and then, you know, was getting massive paydays, went to the UFC, was getting good paydays over there, won the title, and now he's in one championship, probably making way more than he did in the UFC, and he's chasing his last title of his career in Asia with one of the bigger promotions in the world. Man, this infatuation with just the UFC, it needs to stop for a lot of these fighters, man. There's a lot of opportunity around the world. You know, look at PFL. You could be an up-and-coming fighter, try to get into that tournament, win the $1 million. Now you're set. Win $2 million. Look at Lance Palmer. He's won back-to-back tournaments, like $2 million in his pocket. Like now you don't really have to worry so much about the financial side. Of course, you want the most money you can get. And you know who's Palmer's manager, Ali. Of course, Ali's going to negotiate some really good deals for you. And then you could go to the UFC, and the burden is only on getting that UFC belt, not about making more money. A lot of these guys are stuck at like trying to make more money, and then sometimes they're not getting financially compensated for what they're worth, and now they're just stuck in the UFC getting paid, you know, getting paid not what they're worth, where they could get paid more outside of the organization. It's just man, we could talk about this all day because it's all about fighter pay, and it comes down to like fighter pay, and
we've gone down that rabbit hole, haven't we? We should stop.
Exactly. So we gotta like put a halt to that, you know. But you know, at the end of the day, like you said, it's about legacy, and the UFC belt is more coveted in the world of mixed martial arts. But are you gonna worry about what's more coveted, or are you gonna worry about what can set you up for your future and your family and your retirement? That's what you have to think about. I think that's more important than thinking about, like, you know, you hear a lot of fighters say that they don't fight for money, but in a small percentage in their mind, you know, they have to think like money is important. You know what I mean? It's not like they would just like give away everything, because you want to have a family too.
You think there will come a time when let's say the Bellator and the one championship titles are as prestigious as UFC, and then this won't even matter, and you're going to have 3 organizations there where you can go to one from the other to the other, and it creates more competition, doesn't it? And it's good for everyone.
It will happen. It's going to take some time, but it's going to happen to where this sport, because this sport is still very young. You know, we're only like 20 something years into it. So let's look at this sport at, you know, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Imagine what kind of athletes, what kind of fighters we're going to have competing in all of these divisions. It's not going to be enough to go around in one promotion. You have to go to another promotion to be a champion and to compete. And the talent will be spread across the board. Bellator, ONE, KSW, you know, what is it? The UFC, PFL, you know, all of these promotions are going to have massive talent. And it's going to be hard to even win a title. But this is going to be in the future. This is going to be 10, 20 years from now. Not now. Now, the number one championship belt in the world is that UFC title. And it's very clear. You know, I'm not going to argue and be some like shill and say like, no, the other promotions have good. No, right now it's the UFC is up there. And then the other promotions are competing for that second place slot. Don't you think so? Is that what you think? Also,
Absolutely. I agree completely. Yeah, I'm not going to pretend and shill either. It's clearly UFC is number one in the world, and it will be for a while. It's up to the others to play catch up, to find the money and the investment to get to where the UFC has been. But you saw it with the rise of the UFC. These things can turn on a dime. You know, with that fight. What was it? The big famous fight from Ultimate
yeah,
Fighter.
Bonner versus Forrest Whitaker.
Forrest Griffin. Yeah. These things can happen. Yes, say Bellator or One or PFL, whoever has that generation-defining fight, which gets the eyeballs. I don't know how you do it. The landscape's so much different now. Obviously, TV is not as important. It's all online, and
but the thing is, like, PFL, they have like the TV deal, and then they have the online platform, and I think that's the future. It's like you need to have both. You need to have a TV deal like the UFC does. They have ESPN, but then also have that online platform like UFC Fight Pass and the ESPN Plus deals that they have set in place for the promotion. PFL has it. One Championship has it. You know, One Championship has deals with so many different broadcasting companies around the world, and then they have their app that they have, you know, that allow you to watch fights anywhere. That's the future. Every promotion needs to have it. Even like the smaller promotions are starting to do this now, right? They're going to have a deal with like a online OTT platform. That's what it's called, right? OTT platform, and then they have the TV deals in place. Without that, it's hard to survive in this industry, I think. And that's what's going to happen in the next 5 or 10 years. Like every company's going to have it, that are even like regional companies that are doing well, they're going to have it too. Yeah, we need to have that. We have to see, you know, like just recently, like I was going to watch Pancrase, right? And it was only going to be offered in Japan on pay-per-view. You know how much it costs? $50. I was like, Pancrase, are you completely insane charging $50 for someone to watch just a regular Pancrase event? Like I don't understand that. Like I can understand like you charging like $10, $20, but $50, that's like very close to what the UFC charges for pay-per-views. That blew my mind, you know, and all these other promotions that are doing it too. Don't charge $50. No one's gonna watch your show. Have it on, you know, an app, have it on, you know, on YouTube, have it on something, and try to get sponsors from that. But man, $50, dude, that pissed me off.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Premier League in England. They can't get people to pay £15 for a match now, because everyone's had enough of their greed.
Yeah,
because people already pay monthly subscription for Sky Sports, for BT Sport. Now the Premier League is like, we're going to charge you pay-per-view for football games. Everyone's had enough of this. And if you can't get people to pay £15 to watch Manchester United or Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester City, you know, all these big teams, no one's going to pay that $50 to watch Pancrase, right?
no one.
It's crazy.
No one. I don't even see people paying $20 to watch any like regional show. You know, like in Korea, everything's free. Everything, like they have TV deals, but then everything that's streamed is free, so you can go and watch it. You know what I mean? Because they've noticed that if you try to make people pay, the number of viewers are going to drop drastically. You know, like people are going to just be angry at you and not even watch the show. So why put people through it? And I understand the promotions have to make money and everything, but there's other ways to do it, you know. And yeah, if no one's paying, if people are not paying for Premier League, and that's like the number one league in the world, I believe, that people are really tuned into worldwide, they're not going to pay for local promotions, regional promotions, shows individually.
That's another rabbit hole. So
yeah,
we'll leave that. Why don't we wrap it up? I think we've covered all the big news coming out of UFC. Sure, it will all change again this week. I'm waiting to hear from Dana when they back in Vegas this weekend. So I'm sure we'll get an update from Dana on all the title picture in lightweight division. And we'll see if Khabib is number one pound for pound within the next 24 hours. More pressing, we're going to have the One Championship Media Day tomorrow, I think, in some iteration, streaming live on the channel. Check that out. We'll be back with the Fight Companion on Friday for One Championship Inside the Matrix. 8 o'clock start, I think. I better double check. Yeah, keep it here. We're going to have interviews. Keep it on SCMP MMA YouTube for all of that content for 4 title fights. It's going to be a fun week, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely keep tuned in for the full coverage fight week for Inside the Matrix. We got the live chat on Thursday morning. We'll have Mike Heck from MMAfighting.com, the host of What the Heck. You'll be on, and just to talk, just to talk about the world of MMA and what's going on. And yeah, just keep tuned in, and we'll bring you guys as much content as possible.
Yep, and please remember, like and subscribe. We've just gone through 5,000 subscribers, which is pretty fun because we were about 3,000 6 weeks ago.
Yeah,
maybe.
That's incredible.
Yeah, nice jump in numbers. We'd like to see that. Let's go for 6,000 by the end of this week. That'll be cool. Yeah, that's all I had to say. Yeah, right. I thought you were gonna jump in and say something. Maybe
No, man. I'm very proud of what we've built in the last couple of months, man. I think I joined in like around 2 months ago or so, and we've been putting in a lot of work and producing so much content for not just the UFC, not just for Bellator, but for One Championship and just covering the whole world. I think that's what's missing in this space in MMA media is that balance, and hopefully you guys stay tuned, and we're going to continue doing it and bringing you more bigger names, more exclusives, and we're not going to stop, man. And all we need is your support. That's it. So like you said earlier, hit that subscribe button and share the content. That's all we ask for.
Yeah. Commiserations, John, on your beloved Seahawks going down in overtime.
Oh, you were watching?
Well, I remember I asked if you want to do a podcast, and you said I'll be free in about an hour, and then I figured that was because there was a Seahawks game on. I just saw it all over my Twitter. So
yeah, there was like I was on my bike at home riding the bike and watching the Seahawks game, and yeah, they lost for the first time this season. There's I believe they're 5-1 or 6-1 now. But it's just but I can't be sad about that, man. They've lost once in 7 weeks.
So why are they your team? Did you spend
I used to live like my teenage years. I grew up near Seattle, so I became a Seahawks fan throughout the years.
I've got a soft spot for them. I was very happy when they won Super Bowl, and then they lost in the final to the Patriots. Was it?
Yeah, heartbreaking.
Yeah,
that was heartbreaking. But what can you do, man? It's sports, man, and that's the only sport I watch besides MMA. I only watch football. And one thing good about football, American football, is like it only happens for like a couple month period in the year, so you don't have to focus on it.
I wish MMA had a gap, like a 3-month break, maybe, because you did the same, and we've been going nonstop, especially since UFC came back in May, haven't we?
Yeah,
we have been every Sunday for UFC, and now one's back. It's like every Friday. You got Bellator Friday mornings as well. There's too much going on. Like, I think this is my first weekend off really coming up for a long time, where I'm gonna get someone else to do the UFC for South China Morning Post to have a little break. Cool. Yeah, because it's just gonna be too much for me to do one on Friday night and then a UFC on Sunday morning. I'm gonna be dead. I've got plans to go on a nice boat party on Saturday and relax, unwind, enjoy the Hong Kong weather. Now it's a bit cooler.
Yeah, you got to do it, man. You got to take a break once in a while. So enjoy.
All right. Well, we'll be back Friday. Yeah. Oh, John's going to be back Thursday with his live chat. It's going to be awesome. I think I've got Martin Nguyen later on today for an interview. I better double check on that. John's going to have plenty of interviews for sure. Always keep your eye. We'll see you all again next time. Thanks for watching.